Hello everybody, it's Brad here today. Welcome back to Project Hospital. I hope you're all doing okay. So we are going to be starting off with a time lapse here, building out our X-ray room and our hematology lab. And this is going to give us two completed objectives to build our medical labs clinic and our radiology clinic. If you do not want to watch the time lapse of me building, it finishes at around 4 minutes 48. So please feel free to skip to around 4 minutes 48 when we actually get into game and actually playing and treating some patients. I hope you enjoy the time lapse and I'll speak to you shortly, guys. Okay, there we go, guys. So what do you think about that? I hope you enjoyed it. I know how tight it is in here. Like, it is, wow. I mean, it is crammed. I've worked in small labs before, but this This is just something else. Let's just check. I think I've done all of the walls okay. As in wallpaper and paint. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've worked in some small labs, but this is tiny. This is so small. Hello guys, so you have future editing Brad with you now. So I've actually come back into the video file, just to talk through a little bit about how I designed this lab. So I've worked in labs for quite a while now, so this is the point in the game where I can give you kind of like some real in-depth explanations of how I've designed a certain area. Other areas in the hospital, I kind of design them to look nice, and I might know a few things about how to make it realistic. But this is the one place where I can actually give you some tips, hopefully, and some pointers. So what we've got here is I've actually got this little bit outside look, and then there's that wall kind of cut out here for that one technician workstation. So what this is out here is this doubles as two things. So it actually acts as two things here. So this bit here, if I just spin around a little bit, so this bit here is what you'd call a sample reception. And it kind of depends what lab you're in, and this workstation would differ greatly. So in an NHS hospital lab, you would have what's called a sample receptionist here. Now it's that person's job to take the patient samples that have just come in, or might have been stored overnight or something, but it's their job to input the data onto a LIMS system. So that's the Laboratory Information Management System, I believe. I always manage to get that wrong, but I believe that's what it is. And what that does is that puts all the data onto a virtual lab system, and it will then track exactly what happens to that sample all the way through the workflow. So that's what would happen in a sample reception. In a private lab, this might be a little bit more tucked out the way, because you'd probably have somewhere where your samples come in, and then you don't kind of need this patient interface bit. Obviously, in a real life scenario, you would not have patients giving their samples to the lab, which we do have here in the game. In real life, those samples will be brought to the lab and not by the patient. So then at the back here, we have a couple of workstations, and now it's just a bit of tight space basically. But what you'd have normally is you'd have this as a separate area. Okay, so your office would be separated from the lab. Now here it's hard to replicate this in this game because of how much space we've got to work with. But normally you might have this sample reception workstation inside the lab, but you have this office space outside the lab, which we do have. So if we had more space, we could have popped this sample reception area inside the lab. We just don't have space for that. And obviously patients come and deliver their samples. So because the game isn't 100% realistic, we can't make it look realistic, unfortunately. But we're trying, guys, okay? We're trying. So this area in here, now it's hard to get the right angle to see this area. This angle might be the best. So what we have here, look, is we have this completely separated little rectangular box. Now what this is what, I've always referred to it as a gowning area. So what this is this is a little bit of space before you get into the lab, normally from the office or a corridor environment. And this is the space where you have all your lab coats stored. You normally have like a sink, an eye wash station in case you get anything in your eye, which to me happens quite a lot. I don't know why. So yeah, you might have like an eye wash station, a sink. You might have things like a fire extinguisher. I've got one in the lab, but you might also have one in here. It's that kind of area where you gown up, you put your lab coat on and off when you come out of the lab, and you can like wash your hands, wash your eyes if you've had a bit of an accident, that kind of stuff. I've also put in that little like washing basket there, because this also might be the area where you store your lab coats to go for cleaning. So that's that little area. And then actually inside the lab, so the lab here is like an L shape, so it goes around there like an L. And then we have all of the workstations with all of the equipment. So I've kind of, again, tried to segregate this. Lab design normally depends completely on workflow. And I've got no idea on the workflow in this game. I really don't know of the lab workflow. But normally what you'd do is you'd lay out your lab so it's really easy to go around the lab in a workflow, if that makes sense. So you're not walking too many times to and from areas. It's all kind of ergonomic, everything's close to hand. You haven't got to walk too far to get something or get some new reagents. Hopefully, in most cases, it's all close to hand. Then again, we've got a little lab sink there in a corner. We've got this area here where I've kind of got like the burettes, all the beakers, the petri dishes, all of like the manual area. And then over here, we've got like the automated area. That just because how small this lab is, that's how I've set it out really. And then out the back here, we've got a sample storage area where we've just got one fridge at the moment, because these fridges are really expensive in game and they're expensive in real life as well. And then when we get a little bit more money, we can get another fridge in here. So obviously in this game, I think that's a fridge, isn't it? In this game, you just have fridges, but in real life, you know, you might have fridges, you might have a -20 Celsius freezer. It just says sample storage. Okay, so that could be a freezer actually. So I just wanted to, you know, speak a little bit about the lab, because it's the one time in the game where I can actually speak from like a personal point of view and give you a little bit of insight of how labs might be designed. It's very hard in this game because I couldn't find any community hospitals that have a lab, but I really wanted to get it in because it means that we can do a blood test on patients. And what lots of community hospitals do have, not all, but lots of them have, is a phlebotomy service. So a service where you can come in and you can have your blood taken by a nurse, and it then gets sent off normally to a larger hospital, or actually maybe an independent separate pathology lab to be analysed. But I really wanted to get it in because, you know, labs always look quite cool, and it does allow us then to do the blood test, which is realistic for a community hospital. So that's the lab. Then outside we've got the little like staff area. So, you know, you normally you don't have your lab technician workstations in the lab, as in like a PC or a laptop. You can in a lot of labs, but most labs try and segregate the kind of office to the actual lab. So this is this here, and then we have got a little break in the walls where we have like a little sample collection area. So you normally have a lab technician here or a sample receptionist. They will take the sample from the patient, and then lots of labs have different workflows of inputting that data onto the lab system. So many labs have something called a LIMS, which is a laboratory information management system, I believe. I mean, I've just called it LIMS for so long now. You know, like when you use an abbreviation for so long, you actually forget what it actually stands for. But I believe it's that. So yes, some have you know, different types of LIMS systems, but then all that patient data will go on to a virtual system, and it will basically track exactly what happens to it throughout the lab, and then it will also have the results. And then different labs, hospitals, clinics have different ways of reporting that lab data, those lab results, back to the clinician. So that's what we've tried to replicate here. We obviously can't replicate a lot of that, but I've tried my best. And then we have this little waiting area, kind of L-shaped waiting area corridor out here. So, of course, the other thing we input in the time lapse was the Radiology Department. And I say Radiology Department, but actually for us here, it's just the X-ray room. So we're just going to be using the X-ray. Most community hospitals have, well, when I say most, it's probably not most, it's probably not the majority, but a lot of community hospitals have some kind of X-ray capabilities, whether that's, I'm not an expert here at all, but I assume most community hospitals probably have some kind of portable X-ray equipment. I imagine. I'm not too sure how that would work. Let me know down below if you do. Please do let me know. But when I've tried to research it, nothing really comes up. So of course in this game we do have to go with the X-ray room. There's no way we can do a portable X-ray in the game at the moment. So we've got the little X-ray room. Very simple. Got a little privacy blind curtain here if you did need to get changed. Got a few posters, and then we have this kind of separate office working area for our radiologist. And then again we have a small cleaning closet and then a small waiting area outside. So what we do need to do is actually get some staff, and as soon as we get some staff we'll start to unlock a few objectives, which will be awesome. So let's go for let's do radiology first. So who have we got here? Who have we got? Casey's looking good. Casey's looking very good. We're not sure what that other perk is, but I trust Casey, guys. I trust Mr. Scott here. So let's go with Casey, and we're actually going to change his name, and Casey is going to become Tudor, one of my lovely patrons. And I've named some other doctors after some patrons, but we'll have a look at those in a sec. So Tudor, you're now a radiologist. Now let's get in at least one janitor. You look pretty good, Jane. I mean, you're like the less risky. You do come in late to work. Nancy's really good. She's really efficient, but I'm quite scared what these are. Let's go with Nancy, because I've actually fired Nancy, our doctor. So let's go with this Nancy. We've got to have one Nancy here, guys. Haven't we? We've got to keep one Nancy. Right, and then the labs. So let's do the easy one first for the janitor. Again, we just need to have one. Oh, Robert's good. He's not the cheapest in the world, but he is very good actually. He's very efficient. He's a hard worker. He looks like the guy from Breaking Bad, doesn't he? Did that guy have hair? I don't know. I'm rambling. Right. So lab techs. Now we're not going to need any at night, I don't think. At least, definitely not at the moment. And I don't think this size hospital just would not have the capacity, I think, to have some kind of capabilities to do lab tests at night. I don't think so anyway. So let's go one in the day and we'll see how that goes, I think. Daniel looks pretty good. He's fairly cheap, 139. He's a fresh parent, so his rest levels decrease faster. But he's very good. He's got 50% for biochemistry. Paul, oh no, Paul's good. Look at Paul, 99% biochemistry. He's a gamer, we know the feeling, so he rests much faster. And he has got a long drive, you know, but he can't help, well, he could help that, he could just move closer actually. But let's get in Paul. I think Paul will be good. Now I know that KP wanted to be involved in the medical labs at some point, so KP, you're going to be our lab technologist. We're going to have Doctor. So you've got your PhD, KP, you've got your PhD, well done. You've got Dr. KP in the labs there. Okie doke, right, so that's our laboratories and our radiology clinic actually functioning, which is awesome. So what that has actually given us is hopefully a couple of objectives. Yes, we've got the medical laboratories being open, has given us $20,000. And we should have one more here, which is, yes, open the radiology clinic, which has given us another $20. So we're sitting pretty good at the moment on $42,000. Now, I think that is going to dwindle quite quickly when we start building out our specialised department. And I think we'll have our day clinics on this first floor here, I think. Maybe like a small staff cafeteria, that's what I'm thinking. But that'll be in a future episode. So we have T. Mackey on reception. There you go, T. Mackey, you're now a receptionist. And we now have the rest of our patrons in here as doctors. We have Blala, we have the lovely Blala. I would trust Blala so much more than myself to be a doctor. So there we go, Blala, you are a doctor. And we also have Joe Page here. I'm sorry, Joe, you are female at the moment. Let me know if it bothers you. So the other perk was actually a hedonist. Yeah, that one. But Joe's actually a really great doctor. So every patron is in here as a member of staff somewhere, which is awesome. Right, so I wonder how much these departments over here are actually going to be utilised. I am very interested to see that. I'm not sure if we're going to have many patients here actually need to use the lab and the radiology clinic. But I'm really glad we got them in. So let's wait until we get some new patients into our lovely little community hospital here. Okay, it is a brand new day, so we are on day 2 here. Now, we do have a patient here, and I think that's another patient coming in just here. So we have got this news that we're going to get 40% more injured patients arriving each day. It'll be interesting to see how that actually reflects to patient intake in the game, because we've obviously reduced all of the insurance companies and patient intake down. It'll be interesting to see if we start to lose a little bit of focus here if we get too many patients into our clinic. So let's have a look at this chap here. So we've got David Allen. So he's coming in. He's currently having his interview with Joe Page right here. So let's get that physical exam done. Those really basic tests, that interview, the physical exam, and that will normally give us a kind of indication of where to start. Right, here we go. So they actually haven't done the physical exam yet, but it must be lactose intolerance because we haven't got the IM department or the general surgery department. So we know it is going to be lactose intolerance, which requires some kind of diet modification to obviously limit the amount of lactose you have in your diet. So let's also give him something for his diarrhea, and we're going to give him some drugs that strengthens or stimulates the stomach with a broad spectrum of use. Oh, cool, okay. And that'll be Mr. Allen all sorted, and then he can actually go home. Although it's probably worth us having a look and doing a few more bits. Abdominal palpitation. Let's do the abdominal palpitation. Let's do our first blood draw as well. Let's do our first blood draw. That's why we've got the lab. I know we know his diagnosis, but let's just do it because he'll be our first patient that will go through the hematology lab. So that'll be great. Okay, and we also have Miss Robinson here. Where's Blala? Blala, you're late to work. Come on. Oh, but you are pleasant. There you go. But you do have a long commute, so that's fair enough. Right, so let's assign this lady. She'll probably be better with Blala, because I imagine this guy's going to need to get a few drugs and bits, isn't he? Right, so we are going to think about a pharmacy as well. I think I would like to get in a pharmacy. I haven't found any community hospitals that have a pharmacy, but what we do have here in the UK is that lots of our larger GP clinics tend to have a pharmacy embedded within the same building, or they'll normally have a pharmacy very close by. So I haven't found any pharmacies in a community hospital, but I know that many of the clinics do. So I think we'll take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, and we will get a pharmacy in here. I'm not sure where. It could go down here, or it could go mixed in with a sexual health clinic, but I don't think that would make too much sense. I don't think you'd want to be, you know, discussing your sexual health stuff next to what is probably likely to be quite a busy pharmacy. Right, so Miss Robinson, let's have a look at you. Oh, you've got athlete's foot. Okay, so you just need some antifungal treatment. You do have another hidden symptom here. So what could that be? Physical exam, fungal cultivation. We don't have the microbiology lab, so we can't do that. So there's no point even trying to get this hidden symptom because we're not going to be able to. So let's get athlete's foot. We'll give you the antifungal cream. We'll also give you these other bits as well because we're such a lovely clinic here. We try and make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Right, now this lady's going in. Yes, we're getting quite a few patients today. We are getting quite a few. So we've got Kate Rodriguez here. Oh my God, there we go. Right, so you are infectious diseases, so you must have chickenpox, Kate, unfortunately. So chickenpox, also known as varicella, is a highly contagious disease caused by initial infection with varicella zoster virus. We all know that. So let's give you some antivirals and some other bits here. What other symptoms could you be suffering from, Kate? Headache, which is physical exam, itchy blisters. So we need to do temperature as well. So let's do physical exam and temperature. And then if we uncover any more of your symptoms, we will also give you some treatments for them as well. I don't know if we'll have anything else here. Or that'll be you sorted, Kate. I think that's Kate sorted, actually. Right, it's a busy day here in the clinic. It's a busy day. The only other thing we could do is we could potentially scrap this doctor's office here and make this into a small pharmacy. I don't know if that would work. It's just an idea, but let me know what you think down below. Right, so who's next? That's Kate. That's you all sorted, isn't it? I think. So I think we're going to be seeing this lady next. No, can I click on you, please? Thank you. Jane. Oh, interesting. Right, so again, we know it's going to be hand contusion. We don't have the orthopedic department, so we know that it can't be them. So let's go with hand contusion, and that's going to require numbing ointment. Now I would say let's do an X-ray for the bants. You know, for the I can't say that word, but for the something and gigs. But they are expensive. Using the X-ray room is expensive. So let's do the physical exam because there might be a few other symptoms that we can uncover. Hand pain, hand weakness, swelling, redness, bruise, tenderness, but we just can't actually get that wrist contusion kind of certified because we're not going to do the X-ray. If we don't need to, I don't think there's much point because I think it's quite an expensive tool to use, especially in real life. It'd be quite an expensive tool to use. Right, so another patient, we've got Lisa Barkley here, who's suffering from fever and muscle and joint pain. So let's get Lisa into the room. We'll do the physical exam. Speed up time a little bit. Right, so what's going on with you then, Lisa? How are you feeling? Chills? Right, so it's either influenza A, which is infectious diseases, or we've got influenza B. So again, we know that we haven't got the infectious diseases department, so it must be influenza B. So let's give Lisa at least some antivirals. We'll also prescribe her, you know, or recommend her at least to have some rest and to have some anti-fever drugs here. So, would there be anything else? Fatigue, headache, so we could give you some pain meds, sore throat. So what have we got here? Physical exam, oral cavity, chest, nasal, serological. Right, so let's do all of those. Do we do the serological sampling? I think it is going to be worth it, because what was that at the end? Influenza B detected. Okay, so let's do that as well, because you know we are going to be nice. We want to be thorough. Here is our little lab. So this guy is pretty, yeah. So KP's fairly idle at the moment. They haven't got too much going on. Oh, camera. Same with the radiology department in the X-ray room here. It's very quiet. Not much going on. So let's see if this lady, who was it? You're treated, aren't you? So it is you, Lisa Barkley. So I wonder if Lisa will start coming down to the lab, or because we've got her diagnosis kind of firmed, will she just leave? Not too sure. So let's give you some more drugs. Give you all of the drugs in the world. Yes, you're just having those now. Looks like KP went for a wee. KP went for a wee. Oh, objective done. What was that? Yes, you're just going to go. Okay, well, fair enough. See you later. Well, we had, okay, treat 5 patients per day. Cool, okay. So our reward for that is to increase our clinic patients per day to 5. So tomorrow, we could see quite a few patients coming in tomorrow, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, actually. Right, so then it's gone fairly quiet. Are you coming in? Yes, you are. So here we've got Susan Allen. I'm not even bothering that to say good morning. Yeah, it's good morning to the receptionist, to old T Mackie here. So Susan's just coming straight into the clinic. She's actually been assigned to Blala, so she's at least going to have an interview done. So what's going to be wrong with Susan? What ails you, Susan? What ails you? You've got a dry cough. Okay, let's do a physical exam and a chest exam. You've got bronchitis. Well, that doesn't sound too fun. So let's give you some antibiotics. And these other bits just here. That'll be Susan all sorted out. And it's gone fairly quiet again. Are you... Oh, God. Please don't say you're all coming into the hospital. No, just this one chap at the moment. Right, who's this? We've got Christopher Jackson. Hello, Christopher. So again, you're just coming straight into the clinic. You're going to be assigned to Joe Page. Okay, yeah, that will make sense. Right, what's going to be ailing you then, Christopher? That's this lady all done. Finger numbness. Okay, so it could be golfer's elbow or Raynaud's syndrome. So let's do a physical exam. So Raynaud's, we would see some kind of cyanosis, some hand pain, and some Raynaud's findings. So a complete physical examination of the patient found classic symptoms suggestive of Raynaud's disease. Okie doke. Okie doke. Then the golfer's elbow. Oh, stiffness, tenderness, hand weakness, elbow pain, limited arm motion, a fever, and elbow tendons damage. Okay, so let's also do... Oh, well, there you go. It's Raynaud's. Give some recommendations as well there for you, Mr. Jackson. There we go. Okie doke. I don't know if anyone else is going to be coming into the clinic today. None of these guys are. So it's fairly quiet. These guys just have the easiest jobs in the world. I would love to work in this lab. I mean, I imagine Mr. or Dr. rather, KP, is playing a bit of solitaire. Standard. That's him all sorted out. Mr. Raynaud's syndrome guy, Mr. Jackson. Okay, well, that was a fairly quiet period. Right, are we going to get anyone else coming in? Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else for some medicine? Not at the moment. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to leave this episode here for today, ladies and gentlemen, but please tune in for the next one, which will be coming very soon. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very shortly in our next episode. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel down below if you haven't done so already. And please feel free to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Have a great day. See you later.